Had a student in my last class tell me that this individual was not in class last week. That's why they didn't get their work done. In one of my high schools, that's not my problem. If you're not in school, that's your problem. You have to take care of it, not me. Oh, I know, I can't do that one. Okay, let's go to the next one. Canyon. Okay.
What week are we in?
6. When you go into Blackboard, you will see that I have the dates underneath the week to help you out, okay? I promise I didn't do anything. Morning. I don't have your papers graded. I just thought I'd tell you. There's another blank one. I don't know how many. Whoa, what happened there? Maybe we're connecting. Okay, there's New Deal. Okay. Make sure I'm in this class. We just need post. Hi, everyone. Let's see. Morning, New Deal. Post, are you there? Okay. Last week went smoothly, so of course this week things will not go smoothly, right? That's how, there's always something like that. No post. Give them just a second. There's only 9, 2, 4, 5, 6, we're missing 3. Of course, they don't have microphones that work because the tables are not set up where the microphones can work. Okay. While I've got you here, first things first, I have changed the schedule for the next week and a half because I noticed when I was looking at the outlines yesterday that things were not going well. And I thought, why did I try to do this paper so fast? So I've tried to extend a little bit longer. So your final of the paper is actually due next Monday instead of on Friday to help you out a little bit. So, and the changes are in weeks, they show up in week 6 and week 7. So when you look at week 6, I'll make it bigger. You're gonna see it says, go over outlines in class today. There we go, there's post, okay. It's dark, they're not in the room yet, but maybe they'll get there. All right, let me come back over here. Show my computer, there we go. And I put an announcement in that I was changing it that had both weeks on it. So, we're going over the outlines today in class. On Thursday, I gave you a handout that was from St. Mary's Community College, something like that. But it's a PDF and it really looks at point by point and block side by side. So we're gonna look at that on Thursday to help you out, to let you really see how they stand up to each other in that instance. So on Friday, you're gonna turn in a draft of your compare and contrast essay to the link in week 6, but you're also gonna copy your essay and put it in a discussion board, all right? Because I don't have time for us to do peer revision in class. So you're gonna be able to go into, once you upload it, you can go see other people's papers in there, and you're gonna do it in the discussion board, you will do peer revision. So, because I just I can't give that time away, because I wanna give you plenty of time to do summary and argumentation together, okay? So that's what's going on here. So, it's not, let me get off, I need to edit that. It should not say turn in final on 8/10. No. It says you're gonna take grammar quiz number 2. I did not change this one. Let me go back in and fix it right now. Okay, summer, fall 2021. I thought I did all this yesterday. I was trying to get this done at home, and my computer went off, and I could never get it to come back on. So I thought life was gonna be just a real big hassle, to be honest, today, but I was lucky. It managed to get worked out. I got in and was able to do it, so. I'm just scrolling to week 6. Here we go. There it is. I'll just replace that whole thing. Copy. We're gonna keep the formatting. Okay, so now it says, now it's correct. You're turning the draft of the CNC to Blackboard on Friday, the 8th, right? Yeah, okay. You're gonna also submit to the discussion board the copy of the draft. You'll take the grammar quiz number 2, and you will do peer revision of CNC essays and discussion board. You must comment on 2 essays to get credit by 10/10 on midnight. So you've got through Sunday. I have work for you to do on Sunday, sorry. Yeah. I'm just letting her know they're there. Okay. So you turn the draft in here, and that's worth 12.5 points. You're not going to do, and previously what you've done on the narrative, you had to send me the comments about who looked at your essay. We're not doing that. So what I have done is I've created this discussion board. The discussion board is worth 25 points, which is 12.5 points extra credit. okay? So you need to do it. If you don't do it, you're gonna lose 12.5 points. But you're gonna just go into so you'll turn in a draft for me to see. Then you'll go into the compare and contrast. You'll create a thread, and you'll just upload. You can just go, my essay. Let me go down. Hold on. I'm just gonna open up a document. Let's see. I'm just gonna open up this, Control A, Control C. I'm gonna copy the document in, because that's gonna be easier. Then you copy the document in, keep the formatting, and there it will be for your peer revisers to see. Or you can attach it. It's gonna be quicker if you load it in. And so there it is. So my essay. Then you're gonna go in, and you're gonna click on whoever's in there, and when you do that, hold on. I'm gonna expand all, no. Okay, so if you're gonna do reply, you click on reply, and those questions, you'll have to copy the questions from up above, okay, when you're gonna do that, which are, I'll put them in the post in a minute, but you need to do 2 essays to get full credit. If you only do 1, I'll only give you 6.25 points. They're worth 12.5. Well, no, actually, if you only do 1, I'll only give you 12.5. If you do 2, I'll give you 25, so you get the extra points. So that's what's different. I just don't have time to give you in-time class to do peer revision. You're gonna have to do it on your own. I'm treating it like it's an online class right now, okay? So that's what's going on. So what I'm gonna do right now, and then on next week, because you're not finishing the comments on the drafts until midnight on Sunday, your final version of the compare and contrast essay is due on Monday. So when you go in and look at, let me get into course content. When you go in and look at week 7, you're going to see that the weekly checklist, turn in final CNC essay to Blackboard by midnight, then we're going to talk about argumentative essays on Tuesday. You're going to look over topics, and then we're going to have a tour of the databases next week. So it's got the turn in the final, the compare and contrast essay there, okay? So it's all in week 6 or 7. I don't know why I didn't get 6 updated though. That's kind of crazy. So let's look at, we're going to look at outlines right now. So that's what's coming up. If you're confused, go look at the checklist and the units. Don't look at your syllabus because I had to modify it. When you create a syllabus, you have a hope that things will go on schedule. But like I just got told by one of my schools on Monday, Wednesday, that they're not going to be in class next Wednesday because they're going to take the SAT. Could the instructor not have put it on Tuesday or Thursday so they're not missing college English? I said, they're going to be responsible for what we cover. They'll have to watch the video. That's all I can do. I can't accommodate 9 different school schedules. I just have to put my schedule in there, and if you miss, you have to watch the videos. All right, so let's look at the first one. We're not in the right class. That would be an issue right there. All right, let me just get out of here. As soon as I looked at the name, I knew I was in the wrong class. Needs grading. So you can see I've not graded your narrative. Sorry, guys. I'm starting on those today. So we'll go down here. We're starting with Briley. Briley's up first. Okay. I've got to shrink it just a little bit. Maybe I can shrink it a little bit. Here we go. I'm going to download it very quickly. It's easier if I download them than try to show you that in there, because it'll blow it up. All right, so students who participate in extracurricular activities also have an increase in GPA, time management skills, and responsibilities. Okay, so I see criteria. I see 1 subject. The thesis must have 2 subjects, okay, in it, and it should not make a statement about what's better. This one tells me that this person says extracurricular activities are good for you. You need to be in them. So what are they? Academics. So we're comparing and contrasting academics with extracurricular activities. So just if I'm looking at that, academics don't count whatsoever in school. You with me? So we've got to be careful. So your thesis, Briley, has got to give both subjects and the criteria. So we're talking about GPA, time management, responsibilities. I like that. I think you've got great criteria. Okay? But there should be no evaluation in the thesis statement. Any kind of statement about which one's better or which one's more beneficial, that might be the word to use, more beneficial, needs to come in your conclusion. All right? So fix that. You gotta make that thesis read that so that we can see both subjects. There's a blank one in there. Okay. I'm sorry I can't type today. Statement, both subjects, and no. Okay. Oh, great, Scott. I'm not gonna take it because I've got the screen too big. Okay. There we go. That's still too big. Ah, that's it. Okay, we're up to Jacob. The only good news is Jacob's last name is unusual, and I've had a sibling, so I know what school he's from because of that. Most of the time, I'm clueless. I just have to, by next semester, I'll know where everybody comes from. I'll pretty much have that down. All right, Jacob is doing, diesel and gas engines can be compared according to their differences in affordability, life expectancy, and versatility. Okay, there's a thesis statement. We're gonna look at diesel engines, gas engines, the affordability, life expectancy, and versatility. I can go for that. When you're talking about affordability, so we're talking about the cost of gas, but does a diesel car cost more than a gas-powered car? That also should go in there when you're talking about affordability, okay, Jacob? Got that? Wave your hands at me, Jacob. Jacob, woo-hoo. Yeah, over there? Okay, so you don't just talk about the cost of the gas, talk about the overall cost of a diesel car. Do they make diesel cars or diesel trucks? We're talking trucks? Okay, I don't know. I don't know anything about cars. I had somebody yesterday who was comparing a Chevy Camaro and a Ford Mustang, and there were all these specifications about the engines in the first column. Everything was a statistic. I said, does it really matter? So why are you comparing, contrasting those two things? We're talking about, actually gave the dimensions of the car, and one is 1 inch longer, one is 1 inch shorter, a half an inch narrower, and an inch less wide. So what's the benefit? I mean, what does that matter? If you're racing, does it make a difference? There's going to be less weight, right? Going to use less gas. But, so you've got, there's a reason to give that, but if you're just trying to show that this one's bigger, what's the point in that? So there's got to be a reason for the criteria. Okay, so you've got a good start on there, Jacob. But think about its affordability should also be the cost of the car, because I would assume diesel is more expensive than gas, since if the gas is more expensive. All right, Gabe, you're up next. Let's see. All right, Gandalf and Dumbledore. Okay, I'm digging this one. Somebody finally doing something in my wheelhouse here. All right, Albus Dumbledore and Gandalf are two of the most powerful beings in their respective fictional universes. These wizards can be compared according to the power they wield, the allies they possess, and the wisdom they have gained throughout their lifetime. I like your criteria. Okay. Practically immortal, da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, Gandalf, really. Actually, Gandalf is almost a Christ-like figure because he technically dies and comes back to life. It's very much, there's kind of a Christian motif going on in there, if you've read the books. It's not as obvious in the movies. Very skilled with the wand, knows many advanced spells, yeah, but we know what happens to Dumbledore. All right. About the allies. Okay. Existed since the beginning of time. Ooh, wisdom. If you're talking about wisdom has existed, that might be odd. Wisdom hasn't existed since, is immortal. You're giving just the same information in wisdom. I'm going to tell you that there are no gods mentioned in either book. Either series, there are no gods mentioned. So you have to be careful about that. That's one of those terms that you can't use when talking about that. But you've got some good criteria. You might want to talk about allies, companions might be a better term than allies. Because I don't think Severus Snape is an ally for Harry until the end of book 7 when he dies. I hope I didn't ruin the book for you with that, but not Harry, but Severus Snape. But you might want to talk about their, I'm sitting here trying to think. You can talk about their wisdom, or, you know, I don't know. Maybe you want to talk about, actually, when you're talking about generic literary heroes, they have a guide, and Gandalf serves as a guide for the dwarves, for Frodo, for Bilbo. He serves as a guide for that. And Dumbledore is a guide for Harry Potter, and then Ryan and Hermione when you're talking book 7. So guide might be better than trying to talk about their wisdom, because that's a hard thing to evaluate, okay? Okay, so come over here. So let's see, Kutsia. I'm not saying it wrong, and I've got Kutsia, right? Or am I doing too much emphasis? She's going to laugh at me. I'm just going to call her Q, like in Star Trek, okay? She took a picture of hers. That's perfectly acceptable. Because I didn't have one in there that you could write on. It's actually in the folder in week 5. Sorry about that. Uh-oh, I want to open it up with photos, okay. Uh-oh, it's not allowing me to do it. Okay, let's see what I can figure out here. Okay, so you're going to do movies and books. Okay, so what I'm seeing is you've only got 2 criteria. So movies and books should be over here underneath subjects. Okay, do you happen to have yours with you? Okay, so movies and books should go over here. So you're missing a 3rd criteria. Your first criteria is the amount of time it takes to consume, enjoy, read, whatever you want to call that. So that is the amount of time, okay? I had somebody say it takes weeks or months to read a book, and I thought, that is so sad. It takes me hours. I was like depressed about that from one of my other students. And movies have same stories, and books have same stories. That's, okay, so you're talking about the content. So when you're talking about comparing books and movies, you can talk about the amount of time it takes to consume it. You could talk about, the other thing you can talk about is the amount of detail within the story. If you've only got 2 hours in a movie, you're going to have to limit your detail and your ability to follow a plot. Whereas in a book, you've got however long it takes to tell the story. I mean, if you look at The Lord of the Rings, it's about 2,000, it's thousands of pages long. If you look at Harry Potter, when you read the entire story, lots of pages, the same thing, you know, so it would be how they, I'm trying to think, what did I use first to say it when I was talking about it? The details. And then you can talk about the originator. So you talk about the director is the guiding force behind a movie, or it's the author in a book. Because Peter Jackson made a lot of changes to The Lord of the Rings from the novels, as they did in Harry Potter. So we can, you can say that a lot of times the director's vision, or you talk about the vision on the screen, how it looks on the screen, is dependent upon the director. In a movie, whereas in a book, it's how the reader visualizes in their head. And I'm going to be honest, Peter Jackson had a much better visualization of what that world, Middle-earth, looked like than I ever had. Of course, I started reading it when I was like 11 or 12, so that might be it. Okay, so you've got a good start there. You just need that 3rd criteria. So maybe it will be the visual impression on the reader, viewer. Okay. Oh, why did I hit week 7? Okay. Let's make that, okay. I'm just saying you need the 3rd criteria. That's what I'm telling you, okay? So we're up to, what is up next? Cameron. Okay. Online versus traditional learning. Okay, traditional schooling. So both have many positive things along with some negatives. That's a weak thesis. Remember in the PowerPoint, the very first day we talked about it. You can't say it has some of one and some of the other. You can't do that. You have to give the criteria in the thesis. And you've got them there. You actually have 4 evaluative criteria, Cameron. Time flexibility, communication, interaction, and monitoring, okay? Those are 4 good criteria. So, when a student considers how to further their education, some of the options they look at are online and traditional schooling. Both methods of instruction, students should look at the time flexibility, communication abilities, interaction, and monitoring. You've got to have that in the thesis, okay? But it looks like you've got a pretty good grasp on it. You actually have quite a bit written. You're going to see, if you look at Cameron's here, there's a lot of information in there already. So we've got a decent draft. Remember, this is 600 words long. I ran into, if I just look at this, let's go. View. Okay, I always go to the wrong one. Review, word count. So just on this, word count here is 208. So there's a third of a paper written right there, just in this, okay? So however much effort you put in, it has a lot to do with it. So somebody's doing, don't say, all right. Okay, I'm just saying you need the criteria in your thesis. Okay, so next up is PACER. Unusual name. All right. The worlds of Marvel and DC universes differ in their authors, target audience, and setting. You need a comma after audience. Okay, so I'm looking here. You gave it an order. You said authors, target audience, and setting. And yet your evaluative criteria are not in that order. I'm guessing target audience is here, authors is here, and setting. I think, I'm going to be honest, that target audience and authors I don't think are very effective. I would talk about the heroes, the villains, and the setting. I would do that instead of authors and target audience. Because, let's be honest, if we compare the number of writers that you have for Marvel, that you have for DC, how does that affect what's going on in the story? So, I think you've got 3 criteria, and you give it in your thesis. I'm going to give you credit for that, but I don't think 2 of them are very effective. I mean, let's be honest, comic books are aimed at 10 to 50-year-olds. Graphic novels might be a better phrase. Or are they still considered comics? I don't know. Graphic novels are different. I think more manga stuff when I think graphic novels for some reason. Okay? So you need 2 stronger criteria. Okay. Oh, I got to go back. I just gave PACER 265 points. Won't be writing the paper because they got to have that. Got to fix that. Okay. We're up to Colton. Okay. All right, Republicans and Democrats. Okay. All right. Some fundamental differences between the Republican and Democratic parties are their preferred size of government, thoughts on institution reform, and what is all over important in their lives. Or instead of what is overall important in their lives, why don't you say what is overall important to their party or to the party? View the party as a singular entity instead of a plural one. See. So subject 1, I'm guessing by small government, I don't know which one's which, you're going to have to tell me. True, flourishing, free, is that Republican? I guess that's Republican for subject 1. Subject 2 then would be Democrats. Yeah. Okay. All right. it looks like Colton looks like it'll be pretty good. Just make sure that you get, that you handle that. Okay, let's see. Interesting. You have a better handle on it. I have somebody in the last class who was gonna do Republicans and Democrats, and they really did not give any specifics, so that makes it tough. Lillian, another sibling that I have had. Okay. The good news is I don't remember what your siblings made in my class, so I don't hold it against you or judge you compared to them. Okay. The seasons of summer and winter vary in their weather, activities, and duration of daytime hours. Okay. I like weather, I like activities, but really, you're gonna spend a paragraph talking about how much daylight you get during the day, and you know what I'm saying? That's not a very strong paragraph. Why don't you could talk about clothing, or you could talk about holidays would be much more effective, all right, Lily? Okay? I would switch that out, because I just don't think, what are you gonna say? We have more daylight in the summer, we have less daylight in the winter. And does that really give you... I'm just sitting there thinking about when we go on daylight savings time and you get up and you have to drive east, the sun's always in your eyes, okay? So I would suggest changing your third criteria. And if you choose not to change it, put it in the middle, because it's gonna be your weakest argument. Because you've only got a couple of sentences you can write about it. And so watch out for that. So put your strongest argument last, your weakest argument in the middle, second strongest should be first, okay? Let's go back over here. Let me get out of the syllabus. Okay. I said holidays, or what else did I say? Holidays or clothing. But clothing, you could talk about clothing in the weather, so. Okay, so we're up to Andy, another sibling. Briley's still up there. Let's get rid of Briley. Okay. Most junior high and high school students compete academically or athletically according to the Texas Association of Private and Parochial Schools and Universities Interscholastic. TABS and UIL are vastly different or due to their financial requirements, student enrollment, and organization-specific regulations. Okay. So you're going to compare and contrast public and private school. That's what you're basically doing. And boy, by golly, by writing out Texas Association of Private and Parochial Schools, right after that, that's where you go. Oh, hold on. T-A-P-P. Okay? S. That's where you do that. And trust me, I know what UIL stands for, but technically this is how you do it. If you're going to use an acronym, the first time you give the full name of whatever the organization is, but right after it in parentheses you put the acronym, and then every time after that you can use the acronym. That's the rule for that. So, paying to go to school, you probably need to give an approximation on how much it costs to go to a private school. I actually had my husband's cousin, his kids all went to Trinity and Dallas area, and they were paying, I don't know, what is it? $15,000 a year. It's like going to college. And you don't even get a dorm out of it. All three of their kids went there. And it's a much tougher education at that school, so. Less students are enrolled. I don't know. That one happens to be, that's a pretty good size private school. They were the equivalent of a 4A or 5A school. Strict dress codes, uniforms, fewer levels of competition. Rules, regulations, alignments. Okay, so I see rules, regulations. The only thing that I just don't know, student population is that great of a category, whereas it might be curriculum, might be a better look. And you could very easily just go online and type in, you have your curriculum for UIL schools is based on TEA, whereas your curriculum at a private school is up to whatever the school wants to teach. So that might be a better comparison than just talking about the student population. Well, obviously, you're gonna have fewer students when people have to pay out of pocket, when you're already paying taxes to go to public school. I mean, your taxes help support it. It's kind of crazy. So you might think about, Andy, thinking about changing that second criteria, maybe to curriculum. Do y'all see the benefit in that? See, I looked at Lauren, because Lauren's from that area, so she would have heard of that private school. When I was growing up, there were not that many private schools. We had one guy that went through junior high with us, and then he was sent to the big military private school in San Antonio for the rest of his high school years. You know, when you only graduate with 32, sending away one guy will really hurt the dating prospects, okay? That's kind of sad. Gentleman cursor. I'm just saying second criteria is weak. Because for one thing, when you're in a private religious school, you are in religion classes. And we don't really have any private schools here in Lubbock that are not religiously affiliated, I don't think. Talkington is not a private school. You have to apply to get to it, but you don't have to pay to go to it. Okay, kind of interesting. All right, let's keep going. After Andy, let's click this. We go to Matthew. Okay. And Matthew is going to do Apple and Samsung phones. These both have different qualities that entice different types of people. All right, so we don't have criteria, so you got to have the criteria. So this is overall look. Evaluative criteria 1 is overall look. Overall look. Marketing has been, okay. So you're going to evaluate their marketing? That's interesting. I don't know if that's going to tell me which phone to buy. Does that make sense? If we're talking about what their marketing looks like, that's not really comparing the phones, is it? Okay? At the end of the day, both are, Apple is typically for the less tech savvy, or those who aren't interested in putting effort. So maybe criterion 3 is going to be use, or ease of use. Here, I think marketing is the wrong way to go. Let's see. Function over form. Overall, function over form, okay. But isn't Samsung the one that has the Z Fold? Isn't that the Z Fold, the Samsung? You guys are not into phones in my room, are you? Isaiah, do you know? Is it Z Fold for Samsung? Samsung? Zamsung? I'm going to change this. How do you say it? Okay. So my thoughts are that you might want to think about changing from marketing, okay? And what I wrote here for benefit, I said marketing doesn't really mention the phones, and those are the subjects of the CNC. So you have to deal with the whatever you're discussing, okay? You can't, I mean, if you're going to talk about Apple and Samsung as companies, marketing would be more applicable. Gloria Lee. Makes me think of Sara Lee. And I like snack cakes, so. All right, Gloria Lee's doing family and friends may have love for you, but the relationships between them will always be different. Okay, there's no need to capitalize the F in friends, and we don't use second person, and there's no criteria. How long you've known them, blood connection, how comfortable you are with them. Okay, again, this is going to be, make sure that we're not just repeating a lot of the same things. That's the issue with family and friends, is that we're really going to say they're a lot alike, except for minute differences. So you have to be careful about that. But your thesis has to have the criteria in it. Okay? Okay, and all that says is thesis must be part of the criteria, thesis must have the criteria as part of that statement. Okay, Julius, not here. Oh, okay, cut that down. Okay, let's see what he is doing. This is interesting, Julius versus Julius. Oh, he's comparing and contrasting himself between his freshman year and his junior year. Well, it can't be a first-person essay. That's the problem with this. And he has no thesis statement. So I'm going to come back to him and write him comments since he's not here. Okay. Yeah. All right, we're up to Kristen. Pretty sure I probably had someone in that family too. All right. There are many differences between high school and college, some of which include the different responsibilities, freedoms, and the people. All right, let's don't use the word differences. You're going to need to say responsibilities, freedom, and the people. Okay. Freedoms. Okay. So, high school and college might appear to be the same to most people, but looking at the students' responsibilities, freedoms, and interactions with other people shows how they diverge. There's a better word than different, diverge, okay? Let's see. Their responsibilities, what they are limited to the school you're enrolled in and the classes you may take. So I'm going to throw out there, when you're in high school, do you have to turn in your work all the time, on time? Do you get endless opportunities to turn in your work in high school? Maybe. Depends on where you went to school, doesn't it? Yeah. Okay. There's limited freedom in high school since you're still living with your family. You're limited to the people you're exposed to in high school. That sounds interesting. Exposed. You may feel self-conscious. College forces you to take responsibility over your entire life. You're responsible for your food. Okay. No second person. All right? No second person. College gives you an extra level of freedom and a new chance to grow and make your own again. And the variety of people that you're exposed to changes. All right. So you've got a possibility. We just need to avoid differences. Our thesis statements is still phrased weakly. Make thesis statement stronger, not a passive construction. When you say there are many differences, that's very passive. Okay? So let's fix that. All right, to Marty. Should be getting close here to the end. Let's see. I haven't done any of y'all's except for Kutsia's, right? So that's interesting. All right. Thesis statement. While both winter and summer can be great seasons, they do differ in many things, such as, they don't say they differ in many things, say they differ in weather, activities, and the clothing one typically wears. So all I'm saying is, Marty, get rid of they differ in many things. You can say they diverge. You don't have to say they do differ, just say they differ. So sometimes we're a little bit wordy when we don't need to be. Oops. They differ. And you don't need such as, because when you do that such as, it implies that there's others too. So just say they differ in weather, activities, and the clothing. So the temperature's higher, lots of outside activities. We wear, who is we? Be careful of that. The temperature is low, it gets cold, and it can snow. Yeah, like we lost that week back in February out here. We lost it all over the state of Texas. How long were you out of school, Lauren? In February when everything went down? A week? Well, here we just shut down. It was like awesome. No, it wasn't. It was right in the middle doing stuff. Mostly inside activities. Be specific, okay? Mostly inside activities. We wear warmer clothing, okay? So be specific. So you got the possibilities, just a little bit wordy in your thesis. So I'm just going to say clean up your thesis, okay, Marty? Clean up your thesis. Now see, that one went right away. Jaden, okay. somehow I've hooked up the speaker to that. All right, Jaden is doing, with a variety of payment methods, cash and credit card are the most used. There's no criteria. Jaden, you gotta have criteria. All right. How about ease of use is the first one? Okay. Cash can be cash can be used for anything? Okay. All right. Can pay, can purchase anything. Criteria 2 is ease of use, ease of use. And, I think somebody used the term yesterday, was the risk of using cash. It can be stolen and you'll never get it back. It's hard to say, that's my dollar bill. I know that dollar bill, that was mine. It's hard to identify that. Let's see, going down to look at credit cards, use money straight from an account. I typed form 2. If lost, it can be shut off and turned back on any. I panicked Sunday night. I was looking for my debit card and I couldn't find it. It was laying on the floor in one of the rooms in my house. I don't know why. I was like, that's crazy. Credit cards have to be scanned through a credit card machine and sometimes have a fee. Credit cards can be hacked into or stolen and used in other places. All right, so make sure no second person. So you just need the criteria in your thesis, okay? How are we doing on time? We get out here at 50. We're at 42, okay. Let me see how many, it says I have left. I've got 5 left. I'll go faster, okay, if I possibly can. This is Macy. Macy's doing, to understand the differences, I would say instead of, I would say between, instead of, between Western and English writing, and Western should have a capital W. Consider the following criteria: attire, showmanship, and the type of horse. That's great. Great criteria, great thesis, okay? We got 8 minutes. Don't close up, people. Okay? Attire, showmanship, horse type. Got a bulleted list, works perfectly well. Control is centered in the mouth. Wow, I'm glad you're saying that because I have no clue. Okay. Macy, it looks good. Western writing. And if I just were to do a word search on this, I probably would see, review, let's look, word count, not even complete sentences. 207 words, she has a third of the essay, and she hasn't even written a complete sentence except for the thesis. So she's in good shape. All right, it looks good. So if anybody needs help, ask Macy at Post, okay? I just know because she's the daughter of my facilitator. That's why I can remember her name. Antonio. All right, this is a handwritten one, so watch me here. Before deciding whether rock or pop is a better music genre, listeners should take, see how we've got to make it, listeners, you can't say take because that means you, the reader, take. So it's got to be listeners should take into consideration the artist, should be plural, messages of the music, and I have no idea what that is, what that F word is. Fans. Is that what that is? Fans? Okay. So, there's nothing like reading it sideways, so you don't feel so bad, do you? Somebody else did it, same thing. Drake, J. Cole, artist, persons. Okay, so what I see here is you gave me a list in your thesis, but you switched the order in your criteria, so make sure you follow the order, okay? You just need to clean up your thesis, all right? What I'm seeing is pretty good. But make sure, Antonio? I'm just saying, make sure to follow the order in the thesis, okay? And clean it up. All right, so we go on to Haley. Haley. Okay. Haley is doing fruits versus vegetables. I actually think I said you couldn't do that. So there's an issue there, okay? And if your first subject is fruits, you cannot say unlike vegetables. Does that make sense? You can't say unlike vegetables because we don't know anything about vegetables when we first read the paper. So, and I don't see a criteria. So are you talking about taste? because you talk about they come from seeds and from a flower, but then you say fruits are also sweet and juicy. So there's some confusion in what the criteria is. There are many fruits often mistaken. Okay, so you're talking about, I'm not sure what this one is. Fruits have more calories and are very high in sugar. So here you're talking about the actual vitamin, I don't know, what do you call that when you're talking about the vitamins and the minerals? The health, no, come on, get in here. Health benefits. Health, nutrients, there we go, thank you. Nutrients. So I'm not sure what the criteria are for 1 and 2. You've got to come up with that, and you do not have a thesis. So that's a problem. No thesis. Thesis must give the subjects and the criteria. Need
Hey, Ms.
two
Thompson.
definite evaluative.
Ms. Thompson.
What? I'm sorry?
Hey, Ms. Thompson, can you
Hold
hear
on,
me?
I gotta get over here. Tell me, say it loud.
Haley Lopez is asking if she needs to pick a different topic.
She might need to, since, I mean, have you put that much work into it? I guess is my first question. And if you haven't, it might be better to switch to something else, just because, because for one thing, there's no thesis, and your first 2 criteria don't make sense. There are too many things going on, okay? That would be my
Yeah, I'll
suggestion.
go ahead and choose a different one. I was at urgent care when I was doing this, so I wasn't really paying attention to what I was doing.
Okay, all right. If you'll fix that up, just send me a first message and let me know what you're gonna do, okay?
Okay.
All right. I would recommend not changing your topic, late in the day. In other words, come Sunday night, you probably don't want to change your topic since the finals, because you've got to get peer revision done. So the sooner you get it done, the better off you'll be. We're going to Alex Villarreal. Alex, okay, she's gonna do, you've got a thesis statement, but that's not a thesis statement, it's a quote, okay? So we need to have a thesis statement that says you're gonna compare high school and college. So, many people think high school and college are exactly the same, but by examining the homework, the schedule, and the cost, they diverge greatly. See how you do that? So I see you've got, paragraph 3 doesn't happen. We don't get to do similarities and differences, okay? So you need to decide, it looks like you're wanting to do block, that would be my guess. So you just talk about, does it really cost money in high school? No. Some of the extracurriculars do, but, homework, there's not that much homework in high school, is there? So, schedule, it's set by the school because there's limited times. And so we can see when you do that, and the money it doesn't cost unless you're in extracurricular activities. Sometimes you
Your
have to buy
conference
stuff,
is
depends on
scheduled
what
to
it is.
end in 2
So
minutes.
do that. So college, it's all about money. There's a lot more homework, and your schedule at least is something you can set, okay? But you've got to have a thesis that gives the subjects and the criteria, okay? Don't use a quote. Okay, all right. Bryce, let's see. I haven't forgotten you, Bryce. I'm getting there slowly. All right. Okay. Stick welding from MIG welding. I have no idea about either of them. Okay. Bryce, okay, value criteria 1, 2, and 3. Okay, somebody's talking to me. Hold on. What? I'll walk away and they'll start talking again. Okay. I at least got them to leave the podium over here. I had to put a sign on it yesterday saying, they moved it back over there. Okay, so, thesis, don't say there are many differences, Bryce. You need to say, most people are unaware that there are different styles of welding. Stick welding and MIG welding can be differentiated by what laid the beads, coloration and strength and materials welded. See how I put that in, and I got 2 sentences out of that. So make sure you do that. I know nothing about welding, so this should be interesting, okay? I will not be an expert, but I will know something afterwards, right? Okay.
Your
Clean up
conference is
pieces.
now over. Goodbye.
Pieces, to eliminate, get rid of passive construction. Okay. All right, let's see. Okay. All right, then I've looked at all of them, okay, I've got Julius just turned his in there, and Lauren got hers in, okay. We're out of time, so I will get yours, there will be comments on it, okay? Or if you want to stick around, just give me a second. Let's see. So, but the good news is you don't have to turn in a final paper till next Monday, but you will have to do peer revision over the weekend in Blackboard, okay? And it's crazy. All right, Lauren's doing the Romantic era immediately follows the classical era, but the style of music, instruments played, and changes in the basic traditions of music changed drastically. And I'm not sure, I would get rid of changes, I would just say, with that, I would just go, and the basic traditions of music changed rapidly. You don't need to say the changes in the basic tradition, because that's what you're talking about, the changes. So you don't, because you have change right after it. So just eliminate and changes and just go in, and the basic traditions of music changed drastically. Music appreciation, not a bad idea. So you've got some basic background knowledge in it, okay? Thesis statement will work, okay? But you need to capitalize the R in Romantic and E in era, and the same for classical, okay? So that looks good. I'll look forward to that, okay? Okay. Oh, now you can tell, some of these kids, they're clueless. I don't know how many I had from Health Center turn in blank documents. There's nothing on them. Yeah, and so, it's quirky what's going on. So I'm having to slow down, and I've actually cut out a paper. I used to do 5 papers, plus the paragraph, so now I'm just doing, I do narrative, compare and contrast. We're doing summary, which is part of the argumentative essay, so we're only writing 3 major papers. So I'm counting the summary as a major. Huh? Well, well, it is better for y'all, definitely. Oh, if I can just get the narrative graded. That's it, okay. Thanks, Lauren. Thank you. Yeah. Bye. See you Thursday.